Chapter 26. As darkness fell that evening, Alex was in the pasture with Bobby and Steve. They'd been there since just before sunset when she showed them the tracks her father had found. She and Steve were in their cougar forms, as it would be easier to scare the bear off this way. Hopefully, they could just convince it to move on. They wouldn't have to kill it. Killing the creature would be a last resort. But if they had to, Bobby was in human form and had his rifle. There had been some debate as to who would remain human, but in the end it was decided that while they were all capable, Bobby was the best shot. Ready for the hunt, the pair scented the area near where Randy had found the tracks, working outward as they tried to pick up the trail and figure out where the animal had gone. This way. Steve's voice sounded into her mind. She knew Bobby had heard it too when he turned and looked in the shaku's direction. Alex turned and followed him, not close, but staying in the general area, keeping her senses open. They'd already talked about waiting for the bear to come looking for more food, but that could take days. It would be better to find what was left of the carcass and try to scare it off. She had no trouble making her way through the underbrush. She could see it almost as clearly as her human form could during the day. Not moving too fast, she kept going. It didn't take long for her to pick up the scent of rotting flesh. Following the odor, she moved deeper into the trees. The snap of a twig told her Bobby was following, a little ways behind. He didn't need to be right with them, but they didn't want him too far away to help either. The scent got stronger, and Alex came to a small overhang. Looking down into a ravine, she saw the partially eaten carcass of a calf maybe 6 feet below. Without thinking about it, she leapt down, landing easily beside the small body. A low grunt made her spin around. There it was. A large black bear, nearly twice her size, and it was almost on top of her. Panic flooded her and she screamed, a high-pitched cougar scream not all that different from her human scream, and she slapped at him, claws bared. He dodged back, narrowly avoiding her paw, then lunged forward, teeth and claws flashing in the dim moonlight. They went back and forth for what seemed like forever. They slapped, clawed, bit, and tried to dodge one another's blows until Alex's energy waned. She wondered if maybe he was going to kill her when another cat jumped on the bear's back, bit down and broke his neck. The bear fell to the ground with a thump. Alex slumped, panting and exhausted. Shift. The command in Steve's voice was unmistakable. I don't know if I can, but I'll try, she sent back. Letting her eyes drift closed, she pictured her human body and willed herself into it. The familiar prickly tingle spread across her body, then faded. Opening her eyes, she found she still had the vision of a cat. Steve stood in front of her in his human form. I said shift. I tried, I thought I had till I opened my eyes. She whimpered, the sound was pitiful even to her own ears. Shit, he muttered under his voice. All right, just hang on. I've called Jade and Nick. We'll get you fixed up. He reached down and scratched her head between her ears. Alex whimpered again, and looked past Steve to where Bobby was rolling the bear onto its back. Bobby. Steve turned to the other man. She can't shift. Can you help? Bobby looked up, eyes wide. I can try, but I can't guarantee it will work. My talent for that's not reliable. He resheathed the knife he just pulled from his belt and came close. All right, girl, I'm gonna need your help to do this. He ran one hand down her side as if trying to calm her. When I say to, I need you to try to shift again, all right? All right, she sent back to him. He closed his eyes and let his hand rest low on her side. She closed hers and got ready to try and shift. He was quiet several long moments, and Alex started to worry. Now. The command was sudden, but Alex put everything she had into trying to shift. Her body tingled and she felt her muscles stretch, her bones shift and crack. It was working. Pain shot through her body as tingling faded. Hold on. Just lie still. You're pretty cut up. Bobby's voice penetrated the haze in her mind. Alex closed her eyes and forced herself to calm down. She focused on her breathing and slowing it down. After a minute or two, the panic started to recede, and she became more aware of what was going on around her. The men had both moved away, letting her calm down on her own. They didn't talk much as they were busy field dressing the bear. She lay there taking inventory as she watched them. Her left side throbbed, and there were several sharp sticks or rocks underneath her, stabbing the other side. Her whole body ached. She had no doubt she would have a rainbow of bruises all over before too long. Closing her eyes, she tried to rest until the others arrived. Distant footsteps caught her attention. Opening her eyes, she looked in the direction they came from. Instead of seeing who was headed in their direction, she saw the cave where the bear had been hiding out of sight when she'd hopped off the overhang. Not her smartest move ever. "Someone's coming," she said, trying to push herself upright. "Don't get up," Steve said. "It's just Jade and Nick." He went back to working on the bear. Alex lay back down, pillowing her head on her arm, but didn't close her eyes. She didn't want to be caught unaware again. Soon JV stepped into her line of sight, Nick right beside her. "Where is she?" JV looked to her mate. He waved one bloody hand in her direction. JV turned, spotted her and came closer. Nick stopped beside the men. "Tell me what happened," he said. "That's gotta hurt," JV said, kneeling beside her. She reached out but didn't touch her. Alex turned her attention to JV and let whatever the guys were saying drift away. "It hurts pretty bad, mostly my ribs, but I don't know how bad it is." She took several breaths. "Did he tell you I couldn't shift on my own?" "He did." JV looked her over. She didn't move her but checked what skin she could see. "You said your ribs are the worst? Does it hurt anywhere else?" Alex gave a sharp laugh that ended in a gasping cringe. "Damn, that hurt." She took a couple more breaths. "I hurt everywhere. I know I've got cuts all over, and I'll have some spectacular bruises. But nowhere hurts as bad as my ribs." "All right." JV's eyes flicked down her body. "You're cut up pretty good, but the ones on your ribs are bad. Really bad. I'm gonna do what I can for them, but you're probably gonna be laid up for a few days." Alex closed her eyes and mentally braced herself. "How bad exactly?" JV hesitated, and Alex could tell she didn't want to tell her. "I can take it, either you tell me or I'll call the con over here to do it." JV took a deep breath and let it out in a rush. "I can see your ribs, Alex." She shook her head slowly. "If you weren't one of us, I'd say you probably wouldn't live. I can speed things a bit, but you're gonna be down for a bit." Alex closed her eyes. It was worse than she'd thought, but not as bad as she'd feared. "All right, do what you can, then I'll go home and heal." She didn't bother opening her eyes this time. "This may hurt." "You can scream if you want," JV said before laying her hand on Alex's side. From the deep searing pain, she put her hand right on the open wound. Alex gritted her teeth and fought the urge to cry out. She was tougher than that. She wouldn't allow that kind of weakness. The pain was hot then cold. She was freezing, then blackness overtook her,